My name is Tom, and this incident occurred in the summer of 2010. Late one night, I was driving home from a party. I lived in rural Wisconsin at the time, and the party was at a co-worker's house. I had been drinking a little, and my friends urged me not to drive home, but I told them I was fine. I started driving home and seemed to be driving for at least 20 minutes, when, as luck would have it, I ran out of gas. Of course, I was in the middle of nowhere and decided to hoof it through the woods. The moon was high, casting long shadows across the tangled branches, and the only sounds were the crunch of dead leaves beneath my boots and the occasional distant hoot of an owl. I had been hiking through the woods for an hour or so and found myself lost. I had no idea which way I was walking or where my car was. Every step I took seemed to take me deeper into the unknown. My phone had died, and I had no way to call for help. As I trudged on, I saw something strange up ahead, a flickering light, faint but steady, like a lantern swaying in the wind. Desperate for any sign of civilization, I followed it, winding through the trees until I came up on an old, decrepit cabin. The light was coming from inside, casting a warm glow through the cracked windows. Despite the eerie silence surrounding the place, I felt a surge of relief. Someone was inside, and they could help me. I knocked on the door, but there was no answer. When I knocked again, the door creaked open on its own, revealing a small room with a fireplace, where the light was coming from. There was no one in sight. "Hello," I called out, but my voice seemed to get swallowed by the stillness. I stepped inside, noticing the dust on the floor and cobwebs in the corners. This place hasn't been lived in for years, maybe decades. Suddenly, I heard a faint sound behind me, a whisper, barely audible. I spun around, and no one was there, just the darkness outside. I tried to convince myself it was my imagination, but then I heard it again. This time it was clearer, and the voice was calling my name. "Tom." My heart pounded. I backed away from the door, and scanned the room for any sign of the source of the voice. In the dim light, I noticed something strange, old tattered photographs lining the walls. I stepped closer to one, squinting at the faded image. My blood ran cold. It was a picture of me, from this very night, standing in front of the cabin. My breath caught in my throat. Before I could move, the voice whispered again, louder, closer. "Tom, come outside." My pulse was racing. I turned and bolted for the door. But as I reached for the handle, something grabbed my arm. Cold, skeletal fingers wrapped around my wrist. I screamed and jerked away, but there was nothing there. No one. Outside, I looked back at the cabin, and the light went out. The whisper came again, now from every direction, echoing through the trees. "Come outside." What was going on? I was outside. I ran as fast as I could until I reached a road. I began walking down the road until someone finally stopped to pick me up. The man in the car asked, "Are you okay? It looks like you have seen a ghost." I opted not to say anything because he probably would think I was crazy, but I know what happened in those woods.